I clicked the links for Odysee and BitChute, and there is a coffee channel. I saw this article, and I'm going to take a look at this, and then the High Republic. Let's take a look at number one. So the Berserker is selling, and mainstream cancer is not. Why? Let's take a look at Star Wars: The High Republic, number 5. First of all, to be fair, the art is very nice, though a little bit busy. It seems like drawing all these backgrounds, this guy's got a lot of stuff going on in the background. The art is nice, but if you're an artist, you should be getting very upset at the writers and editors of these SGW stories. Their insane propaganda is dooming sales. I mean, you've got stuff here, like everything's in the right place. The art, the composition, you've got a distribution tool to sell everything. It's like all this, you have everything at your disposal, and you're making these insane propaganda stories. So if you're an artist, you're like, okay, yeah, here's your, I don't know, $10,000 for this work. But, the artist just goes, well, yeah, but, if this wasn't such just nonsense Marxism propaganda, that check would be $100,000. Yeah, you're losing out because of these, Disney is pushing propaganda at your expense. Okay, so this story, let's get that on slideshow, is the story of dark versus light. The good guys are Africans or aliens that kind of vaguely look African, and the bad guy is blonde out of Aryan Central casting. Sort of a younger Luke Skywalker, who, if you recall from 1977, was also the blonde hero. So gosh, we have symbolically come full circle. What a truly strange turn of events. It's like poetry. It rhymes. And when Lucas made it, the blonde Luke Skywalker was the hero. Now the blonde placeholder is evil, and the darker countenanced characters are the heroes, or the sheroes. Well, I mean, now that Disney owns it, who is calling the shots at Disney, and why do they seem to hate blondes so much? Why do they pit black and white against each other? Why do they seemingly delight in fomenting such discord? It really seemed like Disney has changed for the worse over the years. I wonder why. Has Disney been taken over by satanic globalist lizard people? I don't know anything about Keanu Reeves. He is probably a left-wing guy. Most people in Hollywood are incredibly left-wing just to survive. But he doesn't go on social media nonstop and babble the typical globalist talking points of the day. So when he puts out some John Wick comic, everyone gets behind it. Well, almost everyone. Some of the SGW loser comics people on Twitter were upset about the crowdfunding route that he went. They thought that Kickstarter should be for their trans, furry, POC, BLT comics that sell 100 copies to their friends who they forced to buy them out of, I don't know. So congratulations, it took you a year of working every night for hours to make $2,000. I understand labors of love. I'm not monetized myself. I'm doing the Lord's work to red pill normies. That is reward enough. But I'm also not telling Kickstarter that they shouldn't do business with Keanu Reeves and Berserker. And actually, they're probably wrong, because anything that drives traffic to the comics side of Kickstarter is going to get you eyeballs. Your Pride comics with gay bears in BDSM costumes don't sell because they suck. They really, really suck. And I listened to a minute of an SGW reviewer, who I guess I won't name. He was reviewing a comic on YouTube, and his first word to describe some comic was inclusive. That's not a story. See, look at his art style. What a fun art style he's got. That's not a story. That's propaganda. And that's not a reason people are paying for comics. Very few people will buy something to virtue signal. People don't actually like diversity or inclusion. They say they do on social media because it gets them dopamine. In real life, they try to get as far away from inclusion as possible, because the reality is inclusion equals conflict. If you wrong think in public, you're going to get doxxed, fired, your spouse will get fired, your bank will close your accounts, your kids may get kicked out of private schools. People don't want to pay to be insulted. If you are a fair countenance person of the light. Star Wars, the High Republic, isn't for you. Having African, there are two versions of the High Republic, one for younger people and one for older people who have younger minds, and they both have black chicks on the cover. That's an interesting sales technique. It is limiting the audience drastically. People want to identify with people in the story. It is what it is. But having a team of POCs and aliens team up to fight a little blonde boy is absolutely insane. I see the blonde kid and I know that he is the hero and the Jedi are the evil characters. Why? Because Disney is satanic globalists who live in an upside-down world. They wish to bring a Luciferian light onto the world because they are sick, broken people who live in a kind of an internal hell, so they want to bring the world into their hellscape. There was a poll on Twitter that actually scared the SJWs. 1/3 of the audience saw the Empire First Order as the good guys, but they're the bad guys. Well, one man's freedom fighter is another man's committer of bad acts. And really, when you think about it, the story is told from the Jedi's perspective. A story told from the Empire's perspective would paint the Jedi as evil, filthy globalists. If anything, the Empire has much more support, just judging from the size of their military. Who do the Jedi's answer to? What if a planet or country didn't want the Jedi's interference? Why would anyone want superpowered space wizards to rule them as busybody masters? Order 66 was really an active, affirmative self-defense. It turns out that space wizards are an enemy of the people, and for the good of humanity, needed to be wiped out. Sometimes people need to be ordered 66th. In High Republic 5, you have this diverse group of creatures as the protagonists who all live together in peace and tranquil harmony. Go fuck yourself, you propagandizing globalist vermin. They wouldn't live together, they would probably eat each other. But in Disney's socialist land, the fantasy works out. Another point, nobody cares about aliens or robots. They are, or should be, ancillary characters. Go back to the first trilogy. How did they treat Han's 7-foot talking dog and the two robot sidekicks? Take the aliens out of the story, and it is two POCs who have to fight a beautiful blonde person of the light for 5 issues. It is a WOC purse puppy against a blonde kid, except most of your audience is rooting for the blonde kid because they identify with him. Let me ask you this. You made the protagonist African. Why didn't you make the antagonist African? Treating people equally means treating people equally, which, oh my god, that's hate speech now. Treating people equally is hate speech? Please stop with your globalist tautology. Either, I don't care if you put people in room 101 and get them to say 2 + 2 = 5, or how many fingers am I holding up? Winston, how many fingers? Because the truth is, period, as they say about science, as you learn the difference between science and the soft sciences or pseudosciences, as the scientist says, science is, period. All the other things are not science. Treating people equally. I don't know, I feel like we should put that on a t-shirt or something, but it would be vaguely a right-wing dog whistle. How dare you? How dare you advocate for treating people equally? What are you? What are you, some kind of monster? You know, treating people equally? The Nazis. Wait a minute. Wait, you don't even know what you're saying anymore. I feel like the left has just lost. We don't debate, we deplatform. Well, then how do you know if you have good ideas if you don't get them challenged? The thing about putting ideas out in the public is you get feedback, and people challenge your ideas. And yes, at first, you're going to get your ass kicked in discussions, and you're going to have to go back and do a little research and reformat your argument to take into account their argument. I would say if you don't know your opponent's argument, you don't know your own. I feel like the right is closer to knowing the opponent's argument than the left. It feels like the left just says, oh, the right's Nazis. Well, why? Because CNN told me they are. Well, yeah, but like 10 years ago, you guys were saying mainstream media was propaganda. What changed? Well, now they're on our side. Yeah, but if the foundational principle, the truth of the matter, the bedrock is that they have been kind of impeached as to their veracity, their ability to tell the truth. If they have a history of material misrepresentation of reality, in other words, they're liars and they have a history of lying. You can't suddenly source them as a source because they're on your side. Listen, if you're a pro-Trumper or pro-DeSantis or who's the other guy, Texas Cruz, but, then you catch them in lies. Well, they might not be your guys after all. It might just turn out that none of these people are your guys. And people are aware of Disney's hatred against the blondes because it's reflected in the sales. Oh, but our digital sales. All right. Hey, good for you. If your digital sales are crushing, I'm sure they're crushing. I'm sure they're doing amazing, except it doesn't seem like they are because even Larson came out the other day. And, Larson's just saying what everyone else knows. It's like, why is Comicsgate, with all the trauma and stress Comicsgate have had, mostly, never mind. It's still here. It's still selling because people are willing to pay for, this isn't a Comicsgate book, but it is 48 pages. Some flimsy 48-page book, they're willing to pay $30 for something like this. Because the mainstream stuff is this. Yeah, those were the three stories. That's how bad your mainstream stuff is. The other High Republic story is for older kids who are developmentally disabled. It has a black girl on the cover with the side of her head shaved. At least this chick, it is cute and she's drawn well. But you can't. Oh, and what's this tangent line? I don't know if it's not technically a tangent, but like drawing the lightsaber going right in front of his arms, a little bit weird. You don't need to have the lightsabers lit in every single shot. It's like Disney knows that the lightsabers are the last remnant of true Star Wars, so they have them lit as often as possible. It doesn't make sense. It's a weapon, and the Jedi can activate. The Jedis in Star Wars have been able to, like, pull the lightsaber across the room instantly and light it instantly. Like that movement from sheath to hand and lit and active is almost instantly, because the Jedi's got that sixth sense. They're not walking around with the lightsaber lit. It's in their holster and and then it transfers to their hand. You shouldn't even see it on camera. It happens so fast. To walk around with it lit is saying, "Hey, this is Star Wars. Don't you remember Star Wars? Don't you remember Star Wars? Yeah, we remember 1977, 1983. This isn't Star Wars. This is propaganda. Oh, you just hate black women. Listen, if you showed up with a briefcase full of cash and said, okay, we want a black Star Wars, I could write it for you. Most people could write it for you who aren't insane SJWs. But you can't make the good guys black and the bad guys white, because you've just set up a conflict between black and white when most of your audience is not black, which is just the truth of the matter. So you do it like the original Star Wars did it. The good guys, Lando and Han, were teamed up. And one of the best Star Wars Extended Universe books was a trilogy. It was kind of for younger adults or kids or something. It was the trilogy that had Han, and it told the story of Han and Lando meeting up as Han. He hooked up with the Wookiee and all this kind of stuff. It was a great trilogy. Why they didn't use that? I mean, you know the reason as well as why. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for the support on Coffee. That's very cool. And I will see you guys all next episode.